This is an unusual model from YCC as it is a 150 scale model of a lifting frame. It comes in a plain white box and there's no information at all as to who the original equipment manufacturer is. Having said that, it comes in good quality foam rubber packaging. Included in the box are the 4 main lifting units and a set of 4 guides for lifting straps. There are half a dozen sections of track for the lifting units to run on. There are 4 brackets from which to hang straps or chains from. There's a small bag of parts containing some pins and a couple of tiny Allen keys. And lastly, there are a couple of spacing rods which connect to the lifting units and the 2 main lifting beams themselves. So quite a few parts in the box, but there are no instructions, and although assembly isn't difficult, it would have been good to have included a parts list and some instructions. Anyway, let's start building, and the first thing to do is to assemble the track sections, and they just kind of clip together, and when you've joined up the holes you just feed a couple of pins in, one on each side. It's very simple and straightforward. You have to maybe jiggle it a little bit to get the pins in, but once you've got the 2 pins in, then you've got quite a good strong connection, and you just repeat that for all of the track sections that are provided, and then you get 2 lines of track which form the base for your lifting frame. Next we put the 4 lifting units on, and they just sit on the tracks, and they move along quite nicely. They don't clip down or anything like that. You just put the 4 of them down. You need to reverse the direction of the units on the same track because there's a spacer bar to fit between them, and you can see that just fits like that, and they are pinned into place. And this is quite a fiddly little job. Fingers are too big really to get the pin in easily, so it's best done with a pair of tweezers, and after a little bit of care and attention you can just slot the pin in and push it home to make a good connection. The last job to do is to fit the 2 main beams, and there's a couple of brackets which just slide on over the beams, and they can be positioned anywhere along the beam, and then you just pop the beam up on top of the lifting units. They're not clamped or fixed in any way, they just rest on top, and then the lifting frame is complete. Let's have a look around the detail, and we'll start with the metal tracks, which are really pretty good, good structure to them, and you can see on the base of the lifting units you've got good hydraulics and a control console with painted buttons. On the other side of the units you've got a cabinet and some good realistic small graphics. The lift cylinders are good, and there's rubber hydraulic hosing going right to the heads. It's good that some of the hydraulic lines have the connectors modelled. The brackets that fit on the beams are nice pieces, and you can see there's a capacity graphic in Dutch on the beam. Let's now have a closer look at the features of one of the lifting units. And the first thing to say is that they roll well because they've got absolutely tiny small rollers on the underside, which means that they can roll as little wheels on the tracks. The cylinder that's at the bottom can be used to push and pull the unit along the track. And the really classy feature on these units is the way the cylinders extend and lock. And for that they give you these small Allen keys, a couple of them, and they fit into very small grub screws, which when you unlock them allow you to lift the cylinder up to whatever extension you want, and then by using the Allen key you tighten up the grub screw, and when you've tightened it enough it produces a perfectly good and strong brake on the piston. In fact, the units have a 3-stage cylinder extension, each with its own controlling grub screw, and you can actually then set it to quite a high height of lift, and it's really all pretty stable. So let's challenge the lifting frame to lift something, and we're going to use it to lift a 5-axle Liebherr crane. Perhaps one weakness of the model is that lifting straps aren't included, so these ones that you see here in yellow are homemade out of packaging strapping, which has just been cut and superglued into place, and using some paper clips to make the strap, and you feed those on to the brackets, and once you've got those ready you can put those straight onto a beam, and then we can put them on top of the units ready to lift our crane. However, a good bit of advice before applying any heavy loads to a model is just to tighten everything up, make sure it's all fixed and ready. This Liebherr crane model is heavy, so we just want to make sure that the lifting beam arrangement can hold it. So with all the checks done, we can carefully drive the crane through, ready to be hooked up, and this is where it gets really quite tricky because we need to lift the end of the crane up. I've extended the outrigger beams already, and with that done we feed the straps under the outriggers and under the strap guides to hold the model up in the air. When you've got it all carefully set up, this heavy crane is supported well by the lifting frame, and that's really a pretty good achievement for YCC's model engineering. To summarise, YCC have produced an interesting and unusual model. It's quite impressive when fully set up, and the quality is very good. If you'd like something just a little bit different from the normal 1:50 scale model, it's highly recommended. At Cranes Etc., safety is the #1 priority. However, sometimes things do go wrong. Fortunately, there were no injuries, and after a full inquiry, 2 innocent people were fired.